Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it. Oh, one more thing, sir. We got something else on the gun. Did I mention that?
No, you didn't. What, Lieutenant?
A thread, sir.
From the parka?
No, sir. We haven't traced the garment from which the thread came from yet, sir.
Lieutenant, if I were you, I'd get a search warrant for all 4 people involved.
Yes, sir. That's just exactly what I've done, sir. In fact... Could you open this, sir? I still don't have the knack.
I would like to know, Lieutenant, the meaning of this.
Sid, please.
He asked me where you were, Lieutenant. I hope it's okay that I told him.
May I ask what this was all about?
There's the sweater. Match up with the thread?
I think so.
We got to take it down to the lab, though, Lieutenant. It's the only piece of clothing that even came close.
I don't know what you're talking about, Lieutenant, but I do know that suspicion is being deliberately cast on me, and I can guess by whom.
Well, sir, I won't deny that Lieutenant Lucerne...
Will you stop calling him Lieutenant Lucerne? He's a television detective. You can't conduct an investigation based on his suspicions.
Well, sir, I did have a reason beyond his suspicions. You see, the gun that killed your wife, sir, had a little piece of thread that got caught on the trigger. I'm afraid, sir, that that thread came from this sweater.
Thread from my sweater?
Yes, sir, mohair. The lab said navy blue mohair, and I remember that was the color of the sweater that you were wearing the first day that I met you. The morning after she was murdered.
But that's incredible.
Yes, sir, I agree with you, but I've always had a good memory for colors.
Bravo, Lieutenant. Even I didn't remember that.
Didn't you, sir? My goodness, that's funny. You see, because one of the reasons that I remembered the sweater was because you got hooked on it that day. Following our discussions, sir, supposing Lucerne was right before when he got the idea that Ward Fowler was our man. Supposing Ward Fowler had planted that thread on the gun himself.
I don't quite follow you.
Well, sir, supposing you, supposing Lieutenant Lucerne was right, and Claire Daley was blackmailing you, like in the TV show.
Lieutenant, I thought we agreed that I had what you called an ironclad alibi.
Airtight, sir. That's what we actually say. Yes, sir, but you know as well as I do that you could have rigged that alibi. It was very brave of you, sir, to show me the videotape machine. You certainly like to take a chance. And I always wondered, of course, how 2 drinks could have given Mark such a hangover. I figured it was phenobarbital. And then he would be out. And he'd be able to take the game and go over to Tony's and kill Claire and get home and then wake up Mark. And he would be disoriented and groggy and guilty about drinking. And when he saw the ball game on TV, and it looked just about the same as it did when he passed out, he'd be glad to assume he'd only been out for a minute or 2, instead of the hour and a half that had actually passed. And you changed his watch, didn't you? And then you changed it back to the right time after he was asleep. That was a mistake, sir. You shouldn't have set it to the correct time, because Mark always keeps his watch 5 minutes fast. I've wondered about that. $1,000 watch just doesn't lose 5 minutes overnight.
Is that it?
No, sir. There's also the height of the criminal. It's about my height. And your height, sir. Without the platform shoe. And there's one other thing, sir. You're a crack shot.
Endlessly fascinating, Lieutenant. But as Lieutenant Lucerne would say, where there is no proof, there is no criminal. Fascinating, notwithstanding.
But I think, sir, I have the proof. Here.
What proof? Lieutenant, there are no fingerprints on that gun. You said so yourself this morning. This has been a rather silly demonstration, Lieutenant.
Well, you're absolutely right again, sir. The killer cleaned the gun of all incriminating prints. But the thing is, he forgot something.
Forgot what?
Well, sir, you know that this gun was only used as a prop. So, of course, it was never filled with anything but blanks. That is, until you stole it, sir. And in order to kill Mrs. Daley, you had to remove the blanks and insert real bullets. There were no prints on the gun because you wiped the gun clean, sir. But there is a reason that the lab report took so long. You remembered to clean the gun. But you didn't remember to do the same thing with the bullets.
Damn. I had to forget something. That's always how the third act ends. You see, I've had no rehearsal as a murderer. I'm, after all, a detective.
Yes, sir, but, you did kill Claire Daley, didn't you, sir?
She was a blackmailer. And I killed her. And up to now, I'm glad I killed her. And I believe that in this killing, the murderer has the sympathetic part. Does that satisfy you?
Yes, sir, that satisfies me.
Lieutenant, you would do me an enormous favor if you stopped calling me sir.
Just one more thing.